All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ Podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope you don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board for the board. We hope that you enjoy.
So you're keen on music? Yes!
Welcome to episode 182 of the KissFAQ Podcast. I'm Julian Gill, your host and admin on the FAQ message board. And it's only two of us today, so 69th Blizzard Ken, the voice of reason.
Hey, hey.
Good to see you. Let's go through a little bit of the bits and pieces that are floating out in the KISS world at the moment. Obviously, most important to me is yesterday I got the second printing in of the Gene Simmons Vault supplement that then proceeded to sell out in 3 hours. So, holy shit, thank you very much. Thank you to everyone for their interest. Thank you to Three Sides for mentioning it on their previous episode. The people who shared the posts on Facebook and elsewhere. The interest is absolutely staggering. I spent several hours packing up all those things, and then I found I'd put 5 off to the side, and there's already pre-orders going for another one. So 5 lucky people who think they're going to be waiting 2 weeks for their copy are going to get theirs. So I'm absolutely stunned at the response to that.
Nice.
It's very cool that just a little bit of work like that can resonate, and hopefully people enjoy it when it comes out. So again, thank everyone for their support of the project. It is appreciated. What else? Vault events this weekend. Gene has 2. Where are they? I gotta look at my digital copy of that. Atlanta and Charlotte. So those are coming up. I did hear that I think New Orleans
might be canceled.
Be canceled. So that is a shame for people who had maybe done that and have to wait and see or hear what happens with it. For my show and tell, it kind of leads into the next news item. So I'm going to do one of my items that came in this week, and it is, of course, the stunning Rockologist edition of Ace Frehley's Origins Volume 1. What they've done is, obviously, the other vinyl releases, I think the original one had a white border, the FYE had a black border around it. They've done a gatefold silver border around the LP with a Obi for the deluxe edition, which is, of course, signed by Ace. My copy is currently listed up on eBay as a benefit for the Rockin' Pod Expo 2018, which we'll talk a little bit about as well in a minute. So get my copy, and I'll donate all the net proceeds of that to the Rockin' Pod Expo to help with that expo to take place. So, Rockologists, freaking unbelievable blue starburst vinyl. COA for our authenticity, for the signing of it, which is obviously a legitimate signature.
Yeah.
The quality of the product is outstanding. E1, of course, I think does the pressings on that, so it's very nice how they've put it together. And even better is E1's doing a 12-inch single of Bronx Boy with some, B-sides and stuff on it. I can't remember all the tracks. I think it had a remix of... I don't know. I can't remember. But the Rockologist is going to be doing a special edition of that one as well, which, it's just amazing what Tom and Jason, are doing with the Rockologist. So, props to them. Very happy with my first purchase of theirs. I skipped the BK3. So, and of course, I won't have this in my hands long with it going up on eBay, but very nice to see, if at least briefly. Comes with a poster, too. Had to open it up to find that out. Yeah. So, one of my other purchases that came in this week.
Yes, that's nice.
No, it's not. It's not the one everyone would want it to be. It is
what?
Just the regular Burns Media Show, Volume 7. Volume 7. So it was recorded around August 1976, and it's got Larry Harris on it talking about Kiss and Destroyer and the success of the album without singles, and a lot of industry stuff about AM versus FM. Another Casablanca act, which most people should know of, the band or the group with no name, is interviewed briefly and talk about their formation. And of course, Katie Segal from Married with Children was a vocalist with that band and did vocals on a lot of Gene's demos, which are on the GeneSimmonsVault.com. So, it's not just industry. There's a few Casablanca things. There's ABBA talking about their name and how ABBA was basically just a brand of herring in Sweden before they became famous. So if you're into 70s music and pop culture and industry, it's a very interesting listen. That's up on the KissFAQ YouTube page for you to listen to without the music. I did edit out Gino Vanelli and all the ABBA songs and some of the other shit, which I still got popped for copyright, as always happens. So kind of neat. And everyone said, well, we were hoping it was the 76 radio show. I can't share that. You just have to put up with that crappy quality one. If I ever do find that Rock and Roll Over radio special, I will share it the moment I have it, but I have to have ripped it from my own vinyl. So there you go. What have you added to your collection this week? Because that turned into a monologue.
Yeah. Well, this week, and I put it on Facebook too, but this week I decided, and it was the reduced price, so that's when I got it. But it's a poster, the actual poster. It's pretty heavyweight, kind of cardboardish poster of the Kiss Wasp show at the Cow Palace in San Francisco back in the 80s, that I went to.
Oh, cool.
So I have the ticket stub still for it too. So I'm gonna frame it up and put it on the wall. So, the other one I have on my wall is the one from the reunion tour. But I saw this. I thought, oh yeah, I remember the show. That was a great show, and I was there. So I'm gonna put it up.
Nice. Those sorts of editions are really fun to add into one's collection, especially when you've been to the show. Which kind of brings me to something that I was going to ask or talk about a little bit later. I'm currently working on a second edition of my Def Leppard book, Leopard Tracks, because it got savaged so badly, the first edition, and it's the 40th anniversary of the band, this year. I figured it was time to get that second edition knocked into shape as I'd continued to do work on that, obviously, like I do everything else. Now, Blackfoot, I've been listening to a lot this week.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So did you go to any of the Blackfoot shows in 81?
I saw Blackfoot one time live, and it was at the Oakland Auditorium Arena, which is now called the Henry J. Kaiser Convention Center. And they were the headliner, and opening for them was Def Leppard.
Exactly. So,
and that was a great show. And I love Blackfoot. I mean, you know that. They're just one of my favorite bands. So, that was a great show. And Def Leppard, I knew who they were because I had heard High and Dry, not that much longer, maybe a few months before that. And, oh, man, I was like, this is going to be a great concert.
What a combination those two were. I mean, I went in and started watching, some of the videos from 81, 82, the Marauder tour. Obviously they did the radio show that they recorded at the Cleveland Public Hall in late September. That came out in November. I think there's a TV concert as well that was filmed there at the same time as the radio show. What a great live band. I mean, they're a bit heavier than Skinnerd, but they're still very, with Ricky's history with the band. I mean, it's clear that there are similar kind of influences in the southern, boogie rock of the early 70s and late 60s. So, there's a very clear parallel in southern rock between them and other bands, Johnny Van Zant as well. I think the Outlaws, are some of the kind of more rocking southern bands.
So, Molly Hatchet, yeah.
Yeah,
they were the heaviest of the bunch, and that's why I liked them. I mean, they were Southern, but man, they rocked. They really did, and they're very good.
They did. So I'm going to be picking up some albums. I
can tell you all what you want to get. Just let me know.
All right. Well, tell me what's the first album I should purchase from Blackfoot? And it's got to be a studio album, no compilations or live. I'm going to be definitely picking up Marauder just because of the Def Leppard connection from that tour.
Yeah, well, Marauder's my favorite. But the other two definitely to pick up in like a trio maybe would be Strikes and Tom Catton.
Oh, Tom Catton. I've heard of that
too.
So
yeah. So I mean, Strikes had Train and Highway Song on that one. Plus, he did a couple of covers, which I think they made their own on there too. So those three albums are a trio of just great Blackfoot albums.
Cool. All right, so that's enough about Def Leppard, and obviously I hope to get the second edition done. No promises, it's just a work in progress. I've turned it into more of a Kiss Alive Forever format because it got savaged. It was so disconnected with like song stories, tours, and then pure history vignettes. People did not like it, so if I turn it in and reformat it, give something else to my favorite fan to complain about me repackaging shit, but at least it'll be updated with the last 10 years of tour history. All right. What else is going on in Kissland? I did mention the Rock and Pod Expo. Everyone and their dog is pontificating and sounding off about that, with very few people who are doing the sounding off about it, having the actual facts around it. There's not a whole lot I want to say about it. I've made a couple of statements on the FAQ message board and on Facebook. Vinnie's decision is unfortunate. That he's not going to be appearing at the expo is very disappointing to fans who I'm sure would love to have seen him. The reasons for, well, you know what? It was an unfortunate rank title that was on the FAQ, and I have to own that. I don't remember the details of how that came about or when it did, but, I'm the guy. I am the Kiss FAQ. As I told Vinnie's people, it was an unfortunate and disrespectful rank title to have. But, in hindsight, when we looked back at him being absent from the public light, and not to in any way try and justify it, it was easier, to kind of laugh about when he wasn't in the public and making statements and trying to rebuild public visibility. So again, as I told him in an email through his people, as I posted on the board, Vinnie, you have my deepest apologies for something that was obviously very rude and disrespectful. It's inexcusable, and I do apologize. It must have been hurtful for you, as you've explained the situation with your dogs and how much they meant to you, at the Atlanta Expo and whatnot. But using that as an excuse for someone else who had nothing whatsoever to do with it, had no visibility into it, probably didn't even know that it was auto-assigned at a certain post count, it is most unfortunate, and I don't think that serves anyone's interests. As for Vinnie, what do I wish him? I wish him happiness and serenity. I said that in my email to him. That's all that matters. I think some of the things people are saying about Vinnie as a result of this are disgusting, absolutely objectionable, unfortunate, irresponsible. And those are the comments being directed towards Vinnie. Any of the people who are sounding off on their podcasts have that right, and whether they're right or wrong, it's in the eye of the beholder. I think Chris has done a wonderful job putting together last year's Rock and Pod Expo. He's doing a great job putting together this year's, and hopefully I stand beside him and we'll get to shake his hand and, say, holy shit, you did it again in August this year. And the amount of guests who are signed up to come to the expo is absolutely staggering. So unfortunately, Vinnie won't be there. I hope whatever Vinnie does, that he's successful and happy. And again, that's all that matters to me, is his well-being, and that he's happy. So, don't blame Taco Bell for your food poisoning at McDonald's. It's just it's a complete disconnect.
Well, I guess that there was that. It looked like a tirade. That note from, I guess, either from Vinnie or his representative. I don't know who wrote it, but it was pretty harsh towards Chris. Now
it was very harsh. It was very harsh, and a lot of it was factually wrong. But again,
exactly.
He had every right to be pissed off and upset. But I had already emailed him well before that and saying, "Hey, nothing to do with Chris. Don't use that as an excuse. Here's what happens."
Yeah, and I think it's just a little bit thin-skinned there. Now, on another note, regarding this, another, as you know, podcast had done a special thing around this whole deal, and to me, it doesn't take almost an hour to explain that someone needs a contract, needed a contract signed. You don't need to explain that for a freaking hour, and then during that hour, you don't need to say the F word a bunch of times about the whole deal. And it's pretty much kicking a guy when he's down is not good in my book. you know, when I say kicking a guy, kicking the promoter down. He's not a businessman like these other businessmen, and you got to just lay off. I think you got to lay off someone that's already is going to learn from maybe their mistakes. That's how it all works. So just get off of it, and I hope I don't see recurring, a recurring joke about this on their future episodes.
Oh, they're totally, come on, there will be.
Because they did the same thing with the book thing, like Ross, right? That became a running joke for a long time, and Ross has learned, and he's going to have a great book, which I'm looking forward to, coming out. I know it'll come out and see the light of day, but just don't kick these guys when they're down. That's just, it's wrong. And again, you don't need a freaking hour to explain. Yeah, you should have had a contract signed by Vinnie. Stop. Just stop. I don't know. It just really, really bugged me.
Yeah, none of us are lawyers, and none of the, and,
I'm not.
And the guys on three sides, I'll name them.
Sure.
I totally get where they're coming from on it, but they're not, coming in their discussion from a point where they have all the facts. Michael is very, very. Watch his marketing podcast.
Oh, sure.
Jesus, I mean, watch his marketing podcast, and if you're interested in any side of the business, you might actually learn something, and you'll see a different side of Mike and his experience base. So he does know what he's talking about. But again, he didn't have all the facts with the situation. And I don't want to speak for Chris. I don't have all the facts either, for that matter. I'm not intimately involved in that side of things. I do know that Chris pulled the plug on Vinnie and not vice versa. I also do know that verbal contracts can be binding, as can electronic communications. But again, I am not a lawyer. It's not worth getting lawyers involved in. And I'm sure that's part of the reason Chris didn't like the way it was going. And people have to listen to Decibel Geek and Chris's take on it. Dr. Fuck had his take on it, but again, doesn't have all the facts. Entertainment, shock value, a bit of a rant. Yeah, it's all good. We're having a bit of, I don't think I'm ranting yet, because again, I've made my kind of input and my part of this very clear, and that's where my part stays. It's like, something that happened on the FAQ years ago. I mean, nearly so long ago it was in black and white, had a negative effect on a person who we profess to care about. And that simply is, for want of a better term, tough shit. It happens. It wasn't malicious. It wasn't intentful. Vinnie was out of the public eye completely. Does that justify it? No. Again, I've already said it. So, let's move on from that. The Rockin' Pod is happening. Chris is not down. He is not out. He's not, down on his luck. He's lost a good guest who could have definitely brought some value. Well, not that the ticket sales suggested that much value was being added, but, I think there would have been a strong walk-up. I think there would have been continued interest and probably rising interest as we got closer to August the 25th, but we'll never know now. It's, Vinnie can go off and do the events that he feels comfortable with as well. And that, again, is my final point on this. Whatever makes Vinnie comfortable, whatever makes Vinnie happy, where he feels secure, where he's satisfied with all the arrangements. I think it's probably a good learning experience for Vinnie as well as he makes his way back into public life. The things that he needs to make sure his people cover for him, things that are laid out immediately, he needs to protect his backside as well. And I don't think anyone wants him to get taken advantage of. Not that there was any of that going on. So, Vinnie, learn from it. Chris is going to learn from it. I'm going to continue learning from all the fuck-ups I make. I make mistakes. I've screwed up. I've completely screwed the pooch with projects, as Tim will, know. So I'm human. I make mistakes. We all do. It's how do we learn from them? How do we move on? How do we turn negatives into positives, if only for personal growth? And that is what we call life. And this is a kid podcast, a KISS podcast. That's, not...
Kisses for kids.
I need another sip of water. Now, this is a KISS podcast, so let's move on from that rant. I think that's it for current affairs. Except one thing. One last thing, Paul Stanley, and his little post of the Wicked Lester rehearsal reel. Paul, get that thing into an airtight bag, get it to a studio, give it to an engineer who knows what the hell they're doing, get it shaked, it baked, get it relubed, get it absolutely preserved. Don't play the damn thing. Do not play it. Get it preserved. That, again, has always been my mantra when it comes to any of the rare shit that's come through my hands. Preserve, preserve, preserve. And then try and transfer it, only when it's safe to do so. I would love to hear it. There was, one song on there I never heard the title of. Most of the other stuff, I think Paul and Gene had talked about the Spaceman song in Las Vegas, which, was our last episode, essentially. That full... Las Vegas experience. So that was, I had heard recently, and then they played some of Suitor. But wow, there's a very long Lester tape, reel, and of course, reels do have a side too. For people who are wondering, well, it's a 7-inch reel. You can't flip yes, you do. You can flip them around and run additional tracks on it, and that's why it says side 2 on there. So. Wicked Lester box set. Let's get that going, guys. Let's get the original reel, get the original recordings, get the 76 remix, the 2001 remix, and the live Rainbow tape. And $250. Boom. Wicked Lester is monetized.
There you go.
What do you think about that Lester stuff?
I thought that's cool. Hopefully... I don't know why he seems to be digging through his stuff, Paul, because he's been showing other things too. But I think maybe I'm hoping it's for something like that. Yeah, a release, or even a bigger thing. You just focusing on Wicked Lester, but maybe it could be a bigger Kiss box set. Finally, something.
Keep it separate.
Well, okay. Yeah, you can keep separate. That's fine. And maybe you go album by album. You start at Wicked Lester, then you go to the first Kiss album, Hotter Than Hell. You have box sets for each of them. There you go. So I'm fine with that.
Yeah, and what going back to Def Leppard briefly, they just put out a box set of their first their first 4 studio albums. Which version? Yeah. Did you get the CD? Yeah, I
got the CD. I decided I'm only going to get. I already have the vinyl of the originals, so if they do a new separate release of High and Dry on its own, I'll get that on vinyl. Yep. But I got the CD version.
So, if Kiss were to do similar, Universal, package up the first 3, put on a couple of extra CDs. I mean, Def Leppard included the Rarities CD. I was not impressed with the Rarities. They're okay. I smell a Def Leppard box coming, and they say that they have nothing, but they put the 79 single on there. Well, there were 2 more songs recorded at that session, which in my view should have been there. The 1980 radio show wasn't on there, but and they put all those frickin' 1987 B-sides on again, so it wasn't as good as it could be, but I think they're finally getting there with Universal. Kiss could do the exact same thing. Once a quarter throughout 2019, first quarter put out the first 3 albums, second quarter put out the next 3 studios, put out the solo albums as a box, vinyl option, CD option. We've talked about the color vinyl. We've talked about originals 2 reissues. That kind of stuff as an LP only version would be very cool. And when you see the kind of lack of imagination from Universal with the Def Leppard release, I'm sure they could do similar with Kiss.
Yeah, and the Def Leppard, I mean, it says Volume 1, so I'm thinking they're thinking there could be more volumes. And I noticed on the end of this, they have like that, so it's set up to connect them together with the second one and to continue the picture or whatever logo they're going to put on here. So
there'll be 4 of them from that design.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. See. So we got more to come, probably.
Yep. So that's very cool. I guess we've got just a bunch of little topics to talk about today since it's just the two of us. Let's just go random into some of these that we kind of discuss. Should Kiss do a Rocktober release with Rhino, if their contract allows? Well, your idea. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they should do it, and especially since it's since it's 19. They already did the release of well, Gene has done stuff with Rhino now. Universal had the Destroyer, vinyl, which is very nice. And so come October, if they can license it out through Universal or whatever, I don't know what the contract is, the state of the contract is right now with Kiss and Universal, but I would like to see, them to do colored vinyl in October, 40th anniversary it's around the same time, right? Of the solo albums, and get those on colored vinyl at that time. I'd love to see them do it.
Yeah, no, I mean, we talk about this. Yeah. We kind of talk about the colored vinyl and the solo albums. It's the 40th anniversary of the solo albums this year. Let's print up a couple million more to, have return shipments.
2 more million.
No, it's totally time to do a Rocktober release, as you say. I think Rhino can do it, or Universal. I think it's got to be the colored vinyl. Just
Agree.
Like reproducing Ecuador's, maybe
El Salvador.
El Salvador, thank you. Begins with an E, and it's in Central America. So I was in the ballpark.
You're close.
I am not Tom Shannon. I don't know vinyl as well as him. So,
yes.
But package it up as a box. Remember that Japanese box?
Yes. Box.
So you've got your colored vinyl version, and then you've got a reissue. I'm going to say reissue the Japanese picture discs because they look so much better than the American ones, and put them in a box as well. So you've got 2 box versions, and then your Chaki is a LP reissue of the best of the solo albums. And if you're in the US, you get the American one, which has never been released. So it could be a whole new kind of track listing picked by the members of the band with, on a inner dust sleeve, song, them writing about the songs and why they've included them in the box or the American version of Best of the Solos after 40 years. But have the design, So if you buy it in Australia, you get the Australian artwork. If you buy it in America, you get the European one, since that was basically the import. If you buy it in France, well, no. Maybe not. That France cover's really good. That's probably too complex. But Best of the Solos included with a box set of them. Yeah, Rocktober. If they're going on tour in January 2019, as Gene announced at his Stockholm gig, well, maybe they should start celebrating Rocktober each one of those years that they're on tour and releasing stuff on a regular basis. It would make sense.
I agree.
All right, so that's your pick for a Rocktober release, huh?
Yeah, that's what I do.
I think that makes sense this year, unless they want to do the 30th anniversary of Crazy Nights, and people are don't throw stuff at your computers. I'm sorry. Just, I would actually not mind. Okay, what else?
I'll probably buy it, but I don't. They should do other ones first.
I know it's 1988 now, so I guess it would technically have to be the 30th anniversary of Smashes.
Oh shoot! You could do Psycho Circus too. See?
Oh, Smashes, Thrashes, and Hit on red vinyl.
Well, it might be good.
That Phantom release that was in discographies for so many years. I always bring that one up as well, but there you go. All right, let's move on into into my topics here. Let's see. Books you'd like to see come out regarding Kiss and, I guess, related figures. What would be your top pick out of there? And keep it to one for this quick round table today.
Ooh, well, one? All right. Well, I'm just going to go with then maybe I'm going to go with... it's kind of hard, but I'll just go with Bruce Kulick. biography about all his music history, which is before Kiss and during Kiss. I'd love to hear. Again, he may not stir any dirt up because that's the way he is. He's a good guy. So, but it would still be interesting, I think, especially when he talks about the music that when he recorded with Kiss. So, I guess Bruce Kulick would be one.
Yeah, go on his website and read some of the write-ups on Kiss albums that he's done. He writes well. He writes as clearly as he talks. Listen to his most recent Q&A in Indie. Yeah, he's full of great stories, fun stories, and also he tells them in such a way that they're seldom negative, but they can have an edge. So he's not afraid to say that he was a schmuck and that Gene and Paul taught him lots of stuff, and he was being an idiot, because he always knows which side to have the idiot on, not the Gene and Paul side of someone else's. I would actually be very interested in it's a similar story to Bruce's, and that's Eric's history, because he worked with so many bands.
Yeah.
So many big bands as well, and kind of juggling, working with Alice, working with Kiss, working with Alice, working with Kiss. Go back to his early days. I think there could be some very good chapters on Badlands and what happened there. I'd love to see a good chapter on his work with the Cult, Gary Moore, Lita, and obviously Black Sabbath. But that period of Black Sabbath, for him to really go in depth about what he saw, as a guy who moved out to California from Ohio, ends up in that Olivia Newton-John video,
Right.
Just having him write out those stories. So I was talking about Eric Singer, and, I just think it's fascinating. All the bands he's worked with, through Brian May, just really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
And if he writes his book as long as he talks, it'll be in volumes.
Right. Yeah. No, I think, that would be a good book too. I'd get that.
All right, so we alluded to it, the 2019 World Tour.
Mm-hmm.
Stage. What do you think they could do to spice things up?
Yeah, stage. Well, either I want them to do something really big, which they say they're going to do something. They always say it's going to be the biggest stage and tour of that they've done, but I wouldn't mind them bringing back some kind of a Live 2 kind of look, maybe where they don't have to go down the stairs, but they can take the other lifts that take them down.
At their age, they don't need stairs; they need escalators.
Exactly. You can see escalators instead of the stairs, and they're kind of standing there. And
have you ever seen when they go up on the platforms? They have something that's kind of like a Zimmer frame, but it curves around from the back. Now it's going to be a Zimmer frame from the front. So to hold on, little
locked in
tennis balls on the bottom.
Yeah, so it's something, I don't know, something elaborate, or maybe do lasers and all that kind of stuff. But the other thing I thought of, well, maybe they could do something, they can do something a lot with screens these days, right? I know, but the screens with the backgrounds of prior stages, kind of thing. I don't know how they could do it. I mean, if you get the right guy or company to do that stuff and make it look cool, like it's real, or a 3D effect. Oh wait, 3D has been done on, but that didn't work. But 3D effect without having to use glasses, more or less. Even bring back the stages somehow. I know they can't tour with all different stages. They got to kind of focus on one stage, but if they use screens, they may be able to do something else there. But yeah, I'd love to see something like, and even the Vegas stage, like you were there at the stage. You saw the, that's a cool thing, but maybe up at another level above that even. Use some of that, but
that was surprisingly good, that 2014 stage for the residency. But I want them to get away from the screens, because everything is becoming just so sterile with that fake fire in the background. It's really gone away from what Kiss was kind of about in their classic, the classic era. The explosive powder, I can't remember what it's called, Lypicium or whatever.
Oh yeah,
You know, I've got one of their bills from the Destroyer Tour for that stuff. You know, that powder. I like to see them get back to a real stage, like the Destroyer stage. You know, build out a foam covering the amps with platforms that they can stand up on. But to augment it and keep it modern, have that big screen behind them. So you've got, if you look at the Destroyer Tour and that stage, they had all these things that could fall apart. They had the big, you know, electric tower, stuff like that, again, in scale, to be grand, you know, to be something that's real on stage, not just metal spiders and, you know, lighting trusses, you know, to put a drum kit on. Again, a real staging that is assembled and looks real, that they can go up onto and stand as their platforms, and then you have the whole screen behind them with like creatures. Look at the back cover of Creatures of the Night. You know, have the lightning during certain songs, you know, augmenting the lighting and the physical presence of the stage. Have real flash pots and real flames and all real stuff again, rather than the fake fire on all those little screens that they have all over the place. You know, just bring it back to, and again, it's probably cost prohibitive, as most dreams are, from, you know, coming from a point of dreams here and wishes. But again, I would just like to see a stage that had a purpose. The Destroyer one had a purpose. The Creature stage had a purpose. You know, even the Crazy Night stage had a purpose. And, you know, Hot in the Shade, again, the same. Revenge, you know, they had things, props that were part of it that told a story, or had, you know, not always the right one when you've got something doing that to the audience, you know. But, you know, I would love for them to get creative. Paul, come on. Paul Stanley, very creative guy. You know, I'd like him to design a stage, or maybe give Rabbits a call. You know, if it's going to be their end of their tour, why not get the guy who did the first one to do the last?
Yeah. I mean, I like the idea of the props. Yeah, like you said, the prop type stages, Hot in the Shade, Revenge, those kind of things were really cool. Seeing those live. So maybe, they can come up with something else. I mean, they can do a Mount Kissmore, you know, kind of thing. 4 faces, but have it work. Do something like, you know, the gene will open its mouth, fire will come out of that. You know, have out of the star the laser coming out of Paul Stanley's eye. You know,
or the Tears Are Falling set.
There you go. With the dusty drapes.
Yeah. I was thinking the volcano. Yeah. You know, the jungle, the volcano.
Oh, that one. Yeah, I thought you were talking about the video.
No.
That'd be a bunch of drapes and
fluorescent shit. No, but here's the other thing that I think they should think about.
Yeah, volcano. I like the volcano.
They're monetizing everything these days. Stage played guitars, stage used mics. You know, backstage used toilet paper. Why not monetize the components of the staging? Remember Sam the Serpent, or the 2 panthers that were on the side of Peter's drums? You know, have bits like that which a fan can buy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure there are some fans that would love to use a Sam the Serpent as a coat rack, or have the panthers or something similar to that on their doorstep, or in their house, or in their Kiss Cave, or whatever they have. But if they want to monetize stage played or stage use, have the component parts. You know, here's part of the wall structure that, you know, signed by the band, COA, you know, limited numbered, you know, that they could sell at the end of it. If this is the end of the road, sell everything, the guitars, but also have a sort of stage that everyone who wants or can afford to can have a piece of. You know, like go remember when they tear down stadiums, people go and steal chairs? That. Yeah. Or they knock down the Berlin Wall and everyone wanted a piece of the wall. Well,
little rock.
Have a piece of the final Kiss stage for just $8,999, and we'll bring it to you on the cruise.
Oh, God. Yeah. Well, they could use part of it as an anchor.
It'll be the first cruise ship in the history of the world to require a garbage barge attachment on the end for all that Kiss crap to be stored while the rest of the no. So that's kind of what I think. Get Mark Rabbits back, because obviously he was there in '73, and if it is the end, bring it full circle and sell the shit out of it, just to annoy people as well, because I know a lot of fans would love to have a piece of a stage. I could see them going in a bidding war. Maybe Kiss can sell it for charity and get the tax write-offs for that. So who knows?
Well, I just one more thing. I know Mark is not here, but I know Mark has said before, he talked about this and the stage thing is like the Rush thing, where they had the stage and they kept taking stuff off.
Yep.
I think it kept stripping down, and it's kind of going back in time kind of thing. That'd be kind of cool too, kind of strip it down to where it's just then the small little type stage they had at the beginning, but go in reverse. But
that's a little bit easier for a band like Rush that didn't have as many albums as Kiss does, and as many stages.
Not as elaborate stages or anything.
I mean, imagine trying to do that with Kiss, and you'd only be able to do it with a screen, and it would look like crap. There would be no way to go from Alive 2 to Destroyer to Dress to Kill Alive. It just would not be feasible within the length of the show. There'd be so many intermissions. They'd need Kiss 2.0, 3.0, and 4.0 to help out with the show. So
that's true.
Imagine trying to do a costume change, or making Gene do a makeup change to get his bat design right for the era that Kiss fans would go pop. If it was the wrong makeup style for that tour as well, they'd be like.
Wait a minute, it doesn't fit with that.
They'd be taking photos and doing surveys and coming on the cesspool and complaining. All right, next mini question that we've got here. Does KISSONLINE, that's the official website if no one's ever heard of it, need a redesign to freshen the look and spark some new interest? How would you design it? All right, Ken, you're putting on your HTML. Oh, we don't do HTML anymore. Your web designer hat.
Well,
what do they need?
I do think it does need a redesign. It's been pretty stagnant for a while, and nothing goes on. I mean, most of it is just your general new news. Maybe they show something that is coming out, maybe as a product, but they have their store right up top, of course, because they want to sell stuff. But I would redesign it, maybe more multimedia on there of the history of Kiss. Even stuff that they put on Kissology, it's always been out and it's on the web anyway, but you could put that stuff out. But I would also, I think they could do it, and it's time to put some live shows out there, either video that they have recorded in the past. I know we talked about this, or live audio downloads, and sell them, and allow the user either to download it, or even if they want, they can get it shipped to them in the CD form, with a nice little cover or something. Just allow the fans to get some of the unreleased shows that maybe are not out there, or hopefully better quality. Even just do if they wanted, they just do the reunion. They recorded all the reunion shows. They have all those somewhere. Then people can go, I saw them in this show. Well, I'm going to go buy. I'll buy that one. I don't know, but I think it needs to be more just a change. Refresh things on the page. That's all. Pages change over time and at websites, and it's been kind of stagnant for a while.
Yeah, and I understand why it became what it became, because it basically became nothing more than window dressing for the store, or to buy stuff, or
with a little bit of news
with a very minor blog, very low maintenance, very lo-fi. Compared to what it was when Mike did it, remember, I've sung his praises about what he did with KISSONLINE, and, take out of the equation the message board, but he was going around and he was posting thousands of photos, He was posting content, and I would like to see them do that again. I'd like to see them go behind the paywall. The paywall is acceptable in 2018, 2019. News sites are doing it. It has just become a way of life for the new reality on the internet. I think they need to charge a membership fee. But I think if they charge a membership fee, they have to guarantee that they're going to have content. Now,
get something for it.
Now, can they provide that content that you alluded to? I think I would love it to be the case, but I don't know if it can be the case. Therefore, what I would do is I would get on a Skype like we're doing right now with Tommy every week. 1 week, Tommy, here's some questions. We're just going to do the Kiss Online podcast, talk to Tommy about, okay, well, here are some questions that the fans are, 5 questions with Tommy. Just film them 1 week. Next week, talk to Eric. Next week, talk to Paul. Next week, talk to Doc. Next week, talk to some guy in the road crew, one of the guys who work with them in the warehouse. Questions from the fans, like Mike used to do with Paul Speaks, but do it with modern technology, just a video blog. And the only way you get in there and watch it is you pay $9.99 a month or whatever, $19.99 a year, however they want to figure out what it's going to cost.
Yeah.
And then do it that way. Do special interviews when it is the anniversary of the release of Kiss on February the 8th, 18th, January the 26th, or whatever the fuck it really was that no one knows for certain. Do an interview with Paul and Gene, or Paul or Gene, or whatever, one of the two, or maybe even Ace or Peter, and put it up on the Kiss Online blog. Here's 5 minutes of Ace talking about the album, or just make it much more video and interactive. That people are submitting questions, and instead of Mike's thousands of photographs from the tour, get in the pit at the beginning of each show. If you're going to Facebook Live from a concert, which Keith often does, or someone does back there, backstage as well, do it properly. Just do it with a video camera and put it up for people to pay to watch. Forget the message boards and all of that. That's just pointless in this day and age, because it becomes just a battlefield for ego and trolls. And, it does not work out like it did in 2003 or 1996 or KAOL in 1995. It's not the same.
Yeah, it could be more like what you're saying. And it could be part of a membership tier. You have your regular membership, which allows you to, the regular stuff and pre-order tickets and stuff like that. But then if you pay a little more, you get a little more too. So maybe there'd be like a army ranks, something that kind of thing, an army rank of this,
In the context of this week, ranks haven't worked out so well recently.
Well, I know. Well,
when it
not
comes
like
to websites.
that rank, not that rank, but more like a general, sergeant, whatever, lieutenant, something like that, private.
Like they do for people on the cruise. They give them ranks for how many years they've gone on the cruise.
There you go. Just like that.
Yeah.
You just pay a little more.
And engaged fans to write up, articles, about Kiss in their life or Kiss in their town, but they have to be vetted and approved by, Paul or Gene. I'd say Paul would be a better one to get to approve those, because he's going to be, I think, harder to get a article by unless he likes it. So again, give people a certain amount of investment in the site. Get, Kurt and Jeff and Ken Sharp and some of the other folks, Tim, to do articles for the site. Or long form interviews, but put it behind the paywall so that it's monetized, but give it purpose and exclusivity. I can't speak anymore. I give up. Make it special, because all the free content that you generate, if you look back to the KissFAQ and our 1978 solo feature and all the work that Tim put into that for blah response, because it was free. Once it was put into a book, it was like, oh, this is fantastic. But when it was freely available online, meh, Jeff Glicksman, first ever interview, don't care. That sort of content on an official KISS website, I think would make that website so much more interesting. And then every single page, every single video, you've got to click through to buy something. whether it's on Amazon with a a payback, or whether it's I don't want to go on Teespring for KISSONLINE, because they probably got merch arrangements with Epic Rights, and but there could be so much more merch options, for the official stuff that could just be really cool. And again, it's from looking at it from the ground floor is not the same as when you get to the penthouse office and the number crunchers. Everything that we've talked about has a cost associated with it. Streaming video, you have storage to talk about. You've got streaming.
Oh, sure.
You've got all of that to discuss. You've got rights, copyrights, trademarks, the whole shebang, publishing, shit. So, there's a lot more complexity than just saying, well, I would like, but that is what I would like. I would like to see a KISSONLINE that's vibrant, that is the elder door. Once you get in there and the light brightens, you're like, yay, video. Oh, what's Paul talking about this week? Oh, Paul's cooking Brussels sprouts. Hey, you know what? It's content. I think that would be cool. If Paul wants to take you inside his art studio while he paints something and tell you about his art, I think that look into Paul may interest some people, may not interest others. But again, it can be a smorgasbord. Gene can take you, well, maybe Gene shouldn't take you anywhere, but, come on, Gene putting on his makeup with a camera running right next to him. Think back to Cream 74, when they had the magazines of them getting their, like, cucumbers on their eyes at the beauty salon, that sort of stuff. That could all be fun again.
No, that'd be great. I think, there's a lot of things that can be done, and hopefully they do, do something, change some things, and maybe for their, their final, or maybe before the tour even kicks off, change it right around the beginning. That's a good time to do it. Maybe it's kind of get some interest in the new site and the new tour, and get people to come out and check it out, and maybe buy tickets even. Yeah, if they know something's changed, they might look at it.
That stuff I was talking about at the beginning of the show, the Burns Media was talking about the value of using contests. You're not using contests to get new listeners. Well, it's the same on podcasts, or it could be the same on a redesigned or reinvigorated KISSONLINE. Contests to keep people. If you're charging people either a yearly membership or a monthly membership for a light version, have contests. They can win. Gene, write out a handwritten copy of Christine 16 or Deuce. Paul, write out Love Gun. The lyrics, and those could be prizes. On
good
stuff like that. Yes, the downside is it takes a little bit of effort on the band's part, and that probably is the biggest reason why it won't happen, because they're busy people. They have lives, they have families, they have other interests outside of KISS and keeping us happy. Now, if it could be turned into a major revenue spinner, I'm sure the view would be different. But
sure.
What's it take to get Paul out of bed to draw a picture or paint a picture? Pardon me. I don't know financially, but it's got to be worth his while if he's going to do it.
Sure.
Same with Gene. It's got to be worthwhile. So can they structure a membership package? Can they partner with Universal? Imagine an exclusive 45. You join up, and remember the Beatles Christmas EPs? Stuff like that. Anything. Again, if you're recording new stuff, or, you give Gene and Paul a guitar and they rehearse for a little bit before recording, an acoustic version of one of those Lester songs, they could go into a studio and do a banter session. Studio quality banter with acoustics and one full song, put it out once a year, but only if you're a member of... And then the excess stock can go to Kiss Army Warehouse.
There you go.
There are just so many ideas, but again, it's all down to feasibility. So I don't know. I agree. I wants it. All right. The last quickie question we've got on our little list on this topic roulette is: should Kiss do a vault? Or can they even do so with Gene having released his demos already? Now, both of us did the vault, so what do you think?
Yeah, well, according to Gene, he's got a ton more songs, right? So I think Kiss ought to do something at some point. I know, we've talked about it. We even talked about the Wicked Lester thing at the beginning here. and possibly doing other things. But yeah, I'd like them to do some kind of. And it doesn't have to be called the Vault, of course. That's been used now. Something else. And they've done the road case kind of thing for the albums. I don't know what you'd call it, but
expensive. That's what you'd probably end up calling it.
I'd call it. Yeah,
Very.
It's going to be expensive, whatever it is, and hopefully it's going to come with, again, a lot more background of the music or the recordings of the music or how it was recorded. Boy, I would like to see more demos. Again, Paul Stanley, of course, his are pretty much finished, as he's always said. He's pretty much realized and not changed much when they, turned it into a Kiss song. But I'm thinking he has them. He's kept them. He's kept that Wicked Lester thing that long. He's got it. He must have kept other things.
Come on. Think also the Love Gun teaching demo. He had something like that still available. Paul's got stuff. Shirt,
that Kiss T-shirt, right? With the that he showed too. So I think they can do it. I think Gene still has enough. He's recorded so many different versions of the songs. I'm thinking there's enough there to do that and put it out. Again, I don't know if you do it in vault form or in box sets for each album, kind of thing.
That's exactly the way I'm going to go. I'm going to say, no, I don't want to see Kiss do a vault. I think, if nothing else, the Rhino Vault, while I think it's a fabulous success and I love it to pieces, I think it just doesn't work on the level that it leaves too many people outside of the experience. I'm not going all egalitarian or social or communist or social or whatever the hell you want to call it on you, because I do think I've just talked about exclusivity being an important thing and desirability being an important thing, that sometimes that thing that you can't have is a wonderful thing, even if you can't have it. So I would like to see more of a pay-as-you-go approach to a Kiss Vault, that you go album by album, that each album is in, like the Led Zeppelin or Pink Floyd experience. What was the Pink Floyd one called, that series that they did? It was called like The Immersion or something like that. Whatever. But it was one disc is the original album, and then there's multiple supporting discs that are either live material from that album's tour or work tapes from the album's creation. Think of what Jimmy Page keeps doing with the Led Zeppelin catalog, other than milking it for every last drop of what it's worth. But what they did on the last series of reissues with the additional discs, they came out with stuff that was on there, and Tristan Sword, or again, some of the unreleased things that did crop up, even if there were only one or two throughout that whole series of reissues. And again, I just don't have that on the tip of my tongue to say what they were. But I think, okay, you start with January, Kiss. It comes out, it's multiple CDs. How are they filled up? Well, what do they have in the vault? I don't know. What would I like to see on there? I know what I'd like to see on there. There's DVDs, the stuff that was, Mike Douglas. It was all licensed. It was all on Kissology. Repackage it up, expand that just for the one release, so you've got a DVD with it, or maybe even upscale it to Blu-ray, as pointless as that would be for much of the source material. Have it. There must be additional takes. I know there's additional Bell Sounds demos. Get that on there. There's soundboards from '74, for God's sakes. What did they have, or can they get a hold of? Well, I'm sure if the money's right, I'm sure Kurt can help them out, and probably has some interesting stuff concerning what he more than likely contributed to the Kiss movie. That never happened. So, month by month, Hotter Than Hell, Dress to Kill. We've talked about the Alive box over and over and over. I think that you have to start and have a plan for at least the core part of the catalog. So through Alive 2. So we know that there are multiple recordings of shows, Rock and Roll Party in in Japan from earlier that year for Alive 2. You've got the LA dates. We know that there are sound checks recorded. So get all of that packaged up. You're good through Alive 2 for sure. Double platinum doesn't need to be dealt with.
Nope.
The solos we've talked about. So go sequentially so it all fits. Like that nice little Def Leppard box that you just have a big-ass Kiss rhinestone logo that's made as you create the whole damn thing.
There you go. I like that. That's a good idea.
So don't do a vault, because each one of these can be expensive. They can be $100.
They make more money off of the single
people can
pieces.
buy them incrementally. People can assemble that $2,000 vault in installments with a little bit more, with a little bit less pain than having to, shell out $2,000 or more in one go plus travel. Now, I understand why Gene did it that way, but we live in a country that people can barely afford a $500 out-of-pocket expense in today's society, and that you can shout fake news if you want, but it's actually fact that trying to get someone to have $2,000 disposable, just not going to work. $100, $150.
There you go. Each one of those. Yeah, each one of those comes with a book. You have the vault book or whatever. Each one can come with a book about the music, about the guitars that they used for that album, and that sort of stuff too. The background of things. You can print the lyrics if you have them still on paper in those books. In the book, there's a lot they could do.
Now here's something that I think with the book. Now the book needs to be high quality, but it needs to be a book. Now, if you've seen Roger Bernard's amazing Kiss books, the legendary black books, like coin collector albums, they are proper hardbound exteriors, so the shells, and they have metal posts through the middle that with screws on the outside. You do a beautiful, very high quality leather bound exterior with the metal posts, and with each one of these albums, as you buy it, either have a coupon in it that they send off, and then Kiss sends you the pages to go in your book, and you assemble your book as you buy each installment. So, yeah.
That's interesting.
And it goes into the book. You get your screwdriver out with it each month and put in your 20, 30 pages or however many pages. Yeah. It could end up being like Kisstory in terms of its size, but you're not paying for it all. You're not paying for it all in one go. So,
right.
Kiss would give you a digital version that you could just look at like a PDF on play off one of the discs. But if you wanted the physical, maybe you have to buy that separately.
Yeah.
Again, it's monetizing every aspect of the experience. So you get that 2,000 or 3,000 or whatever, how many thousand it would cost as a vault for Kiss. Spread out, and maybe they'll learn something from the Rhino experience. Maybe the Rhino experience is a fantastic success, and that's just how it's going to be. That when Kiss does one, it is 2,500 or even 3,000, and maybe it doesn't have an experience attached to it. That you just show up for a Kiss party to receive your Kiss vault, and they've got a Kiss DJ and a Kiss tribute band, and maybe some costumes, or it's like the convention tour without the convention. You just basically assembly line and you hang out with some fellow, sheep for a day and listen to some music, drink some Kiss brand beer, and watch the official licensed Kiss tribute band for that event. I mean, again, it's kind of endless. It may seem a little silly, but come on, we're Kiss fans. We actually dream about this shit all year long.
I know. There's so much that can be done. But,
I totally didn't do any preparation for this conversation. So this is this is all up there.
Sure, it's over. I mean, it's because it's things that we'd love to see them, put together as product, but it just hasn't happened yet, and we just have to hope it's going to happen one day.
All right, so I think that's enough daydreaming for one day. Let's call it a wrap there. I do just want to put one ad in at the end. FAQ. If you still want a copy of this, I'm taking orders until Monday morning, and then the print order's going in. I don't want to turn this into a full-time endeavor, and I'm not listing it mass market on Amazon. I just don't want to do that with the vault. I want it to still be a little bit special. If you want the vault supplement, I'm still taking orders until Monday the 11th. And again, thank you to everyone who has already purchased one, and those 5 lucky people, I'll be shipping some more today. So that's it for today. That was just a bunch of little topics, quick fire with Ken. Ken, thank you for being available. Lonnie, I'll see you tomorrow. Mark, hope your album's going well, and we'll see you again soon. So for now, from Ken and myself, thank you for watching. We'll see you where we see you. Bye for now. Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.